Hi everyone, good afternoon. Father David here, St. Andrew's Episcopal Church. This is your noonday prayers. I have a different background today as I'm on the other side of the desk. So you get to look at my great two closet doors. In any case, welcome to your prayer time. This will take just a few minutes, and the purpose of us being together is so that we can be a little refreshed for a few minutes in the middle of the day. The daily office, which the monks used to do, and many still do, they call it praying the hours. And every few hours during the day, or at turning points in the day, like breakfast, lunch, dinner, bedtime, morning prayers, they would have some kind of a little liturgy, short liturgy, just to say a prayer and remember who they are in God, and then walk with God for the rest of the day. That's the purpose of these noonday devotional videos. And at noontime, we would try to remember something of who we are in God. So let me share with you. Do you remember a movie that popularized the phrase "pay it forward"? Pay it forward. The idea was that you could do a number of kindnesses, acts of compassion, works of mercy in the simplest ways to people in your life, not because you were paying them back for something they had done for you, but almost like you could pay it forward, so that you were almost building like a little savings account of good karma or good deeds. And perhaps when you were in need, then at some other future point, when you were in need of some compassion or mercy or just a little help, it would come back to you. The idea was to pay it forward. I'd like to give you a corollary to that message, which is a fine message. But the corollary goes like this. When something, some grievance happens to you, or you feel that you have been wronged, and it could be something small, like a small annoyance, a small being put out, or it could be something significant, because we don't really get through this life or even our day without having some offense perhaps being done to us. When those things happen, the idea is not only not to pay that forward, not to be the transmitter of pain, not to be the one that is a conduit for grievances, complaints, negativity, so that you would actually be inert and not a passer on of evil or something as light as an annoyance in this world. Don't pass it on to somebody else, which means we have to be able to deal with our pain, deal with our negativity, essentially letting it go and processing it with God's love in us, so that we are the backstop, we are the end of the stream of pain which goes through this world. So at a simple level, almost like a cartoon, you could say that somebody has, quote, a bad day, but then they come home and they act it out or pass it on to the dog. And the dog gets pushed aside, or the dog gets a little smack on the butt or something, when it really didn't deserve anything. That same thing happens, of course, in much more serious ways when we pass on our pain to other people, when we pass on our woundedness to others. And it could be small or it could be large. Somebody cuts in line at the store, and then sometimes we would actually pass that on to somebody else, saying, well, if that happened to me, and you're annoyed and angered and frustrated, but then you act it out and pass it on to some other situation right immediately during the day. Of course, it could be bigger, and this happens in family systems. You know, if your family caused some great damage to your life, either actively or passively, they did something or they withheld something you needed, well then you pass it on, unfortunately, to your other relationships in your life very often. But the idea is to be able to not pass on our pain, not add negativity and darkness into the world, to not be a conduit and just reflect out to the world what we feel has been done to us. So I invite you to not only pay it forward by doing some acts of goodness, kindness, and mercy, but don't pay it forward when it comes to grievances done to us. Not pass on our anger to the people around us, our hurts to the situations around us. It's very hard to do. But I would love it if that's the essence of nonviolence. Violence has been done to you, but you respond without violence in return. Or as we say in our blessings on Sunday, let us not return evil for evil. I come from a bit of a science background a long time ago in college, and there were certain elements and compounds that were essentially insulators. You could insulate wires, or you could insulate your house, because that was the barrier that prevented heat and prevented electricity from being passed on to the next, essentially, the next material. So what a great thing it can be for us as people of God to essentially be the insulation in the world, to not pass on what has been done to us, to not transmit our pain to other people, to be the block that ends. Someone does violence to you in some minor way, a microaggression, some big way. The idea is to not be the conduit, the transferer, the transmitter, and not pass it forward, but to let it end with you. Be the backstop, the dead end, the absorber, so that negativity, evil, offenses stop with you, and don't pay it forward. I think that's only possible when we have a really good connection with God. And I'm not living out of my small self. My small self always wants to pass it on, and it's very difficult not to, unless you have a deeper place to go to where it's really safe and secure and you're okay. That's why we're going to do a contemplative prayer now, so that you can recenter and re-energize and be strong in Christ, be strong in God, so that we cannot pass our pain on to other people. Let's begin. This will take about just 2 minutes. Take a deep breath. Follow the instructions in the video, and either participate by watching the video, or also you may listen to the video as well. Watch or listen.
For many of us, This moment feels chaotic and terribly stressful. Join us for a few moments to turn inward and connect to your innermost you. Gently close your eyes and feel the gentleness of breath inside your body as you repeat these words. My deepest me is love. My deepest me is whole. My deepest me is limitless. My deepest me is infinite. My deepest me is compassion. My deepest me is sacred. My deepest me is mystery. My deepest me is forgiveness. My deepest me is beauty. My deepest me is God. My deepest me has knowledge to give. I open my heart and listen.
So, welcome back to the conclusion of our 12 noon prayers. And I didn't introduce myself before, but if you are just watching this video off of YouTube or Facebook and you stumbled upon it, my name is David. This is St. Andrew's Episcopal Church. I'm a priest here, and we're in San Antonio, Texas. Today is March 1st, on Monday. So, all the best to you all as you try to pay something good forward and not pay forward something bad. Be the insulators and the end of evil in this world. And try not to just pass it on to the person next to you. Have a great rest of the day, everybody. Peace of the Lord. Bye-bye.